So we will discuss the basics today for wave motion. So in order to understand wave motion itself, first we have to understand a phenomena called oscillation. Okay, oscillation is a type of motion we have to understand, wherein a body which is in oscillation or a particle which is in oscillation has a repeated to and fro type of motion with respect to a mean position. And once we understand this kind of to and fro or repeated oscillation motion of a particle, we can understand what wave motion itself is, because that wave motion constitutes an entire medium of particles which are in oscillation together. And so, for example, when you are observing waves on the surface of water, like the ocean waves, or ripples of waves on a pond or something like that, it is not just one particle that is oscillating up and down, but it's an entire collection of particles, which are the water molecules on the surface, which are executing oscillation. Or when you are observing wave motion through a string, okay, a vibrating string, it is not just one particle which is oscillating, but it is all the particles which the string consists of. They are all in oscillatory kind of motion, they are all in that to and fro kind of motion. So that will help us understand the phenomena of waves in better detail. So we will start by understanding the term oscillations, and then we will move on to wave motion. So oscillation is a type of motion for a particle, or you can say a body, wherein it executes a periodic to and fro motion about a mean position. Okay, so write down this definition first, then I'll explain each of the terms in it. What is the meaning of periodic? What is the meaning of to and fro? What is mean position? All these terms we'll explore. Just write down this single line definition first. Okay. So the term periodic, okay, means the motion is repetitive, okay, with a fixed time period. Okay, and by time period we mean time taken per cycle. To and fro means the motion occurs again in a repetitive cycle that extends on either side, what we call amplitude of a fixed mean position. Okay, or you can say symmetry point. So I'll give you examples and we'll understand these definitions better. Okay. And the mean position is basically the fixed symmetry point. It is also the equilibrium point. Okay. About which the to and fro motion occurs. Okay, so let's understand this in context of couple of examples. So common examples of oscillations. The first and most obvious example of oscillation is simple pendulum. Okay. So simple pendulum, as you all know, consists of a very light thread which is used to suspend something like a spherical mass, which is typically called the bob of the pendulum. It's like a spherical mass m, and this is, on the other hand, a light thread. By light, we mean that its own mass is negligible, of length L. Okay. Now, this is its equilibrium position. Okay. Which means that the net force on it in this position is zero. So, if we release it at this position, that is the vertical position, is the stable equilibrium position. Okay. That is, if the bob is released at this position, okay, it tends to remain stable at this position. Okay. Why? Because at this position you can see that the two forces acting on it, the weight of the bob and the tension in the thread, they are balancing each other. T is equal to mg, so it tends to remain in this stable position. Okay, but there's another reason why this is a stable position, because Acha, first write this down, then we'll discuss more. Now we'll see that if we displace it to either side of the stable position or the equilibrium position, the forces act on it in such a way that it has a tendency to come back. So it is that force that gives it a tendency to come back to the equilibrium position. That is what creates the oscillation condition. Okay, so hope you people are following this. Okay. So now the next thing you'll see that the moment we take this object from this position, if we create a displacement for it on either side, it has a tendency to come back because of the forces acting on it. So whether we take it from here to this kind of a position or on the other side, the moment we take it to some angle theta, we can see that this was the mean position, let's call it O. Now at the point P, that is where the bob is displaced with respect to the equilibrium position. Okay, there is a net restorative force which tends to push the bob back to the equilibrium position. Okay, so how we know that there is some restorative force? This term is called net restorative force. How we know that? Because if you just visualize the free body diagram of the body at this position, you can see now at this new position, suppose that position is at some angle theta with respect to the vertical. We have considered this theta. Okay, so now the tension is acting in which direction? The tension is acting in this direction, whereas the weight of the body is acting in this direction. Okay, so you can see that there is a horizontal component of tension which is pointing in which direction? It's pointing towards the left. So if we break the forces into components, you can see that now there is a component of tension in this direction. Okay, so T sine theta, this is the horizontal component of tension, and this is the restorative force. This is the net restorative force. Okay, so what this force is trying to do, it's trying to restore it back to the mean position. So which is why now the body will tend to accelerate like this. It will tend to come back towards the mean position. Okay, so this is the important property. मतलब it will work out to be mg sin theta finally, because t is more or less mg. So that's correct, Dhruv. Okay. We can also resolve in this way. Instead of resolving vertically and horizontally, we can resolve it along the string and perpendicular to the string. So we'll see that the tension balances mg cos theta, and mg sin theta is the component which is perpendicular to the string and making the object move in that circular path. Okay, but whatever, whether we do it this way or that way, it doesn't really matter, because qualitatively when we look at it, we understand that there is some restorative force, some force that is pointing towards the equilibrium position, and that is what makes the equilibrium a stable equilibrium, because when we displace it from the equilibrium, it has a tendency to come back to equilibrium. And we will understand in a minute that that tendency to come back to the mean position only is what is giving it the quality of oscillation. So that is why when I give this bob a bit of a push from the mean position and release it, what happens, it keeps oscillating. It doesn't move away from the equilibrium position, it always has a tendency to do that to and fro motion. So that happens dynamically. Why that happens? It happens because of the net restorative force. Okay, so as I was saying, that another way of understanding this restorative force is like this, that at this angular position of theta, okay, now instead of resolving tension into horizontal and vertical components, it would be better if we resolve the weight mg into a component along the string or directly pointing away from the suspension point. So this is the tension and this is mg. Okay. So now we will resolve, instead of vertically and horizontally, we will resolve like this along the string and tangential to the string or perpendicular to the string. Okay. So this is, with respect to a circle, if you consider, any point like this, so at a point theta like this, this is called the tangential axis at that point. This is called the tangential axis, and this is called the radial axis. Okay. So with those axes in mind now, if we so the other thing is that you can work out that the angle that mg is making with this axis is theta. Okay. So like we've learned in vectors before, resolution of the vector. If we resolve mg into two components, we will see that this component, this becomes the cos component, that is along the radial line. So this component of mg cos theta, this is what we'll call the radial component because it's along the radial axis. And the other component is along the tangential axis, so it's called the tangential component. So mg sine theta, this is the tangential component of mg. Okay. So we have resolved mg into these two components. So if we do that, you can see that at the angular position theta, what is happening is the point P where the thread is at theta with respect to the vertical line. Okay. T balances mg cos theta or the radial component. Okay. Whereas mg sin theta is what we call the unbalanced force. Because there's no other force to balance it. So that unbalanced force here becomes the net restorative force. Okay. And this net restorative force is what makes the body oscillate. Okay, because it's pointing towards where it would take the body back towards the mean position. So you can see that this occurs on either side of the equilibrium. It doesn't occur only on one side. So if we draw another situation where we have taken the same body now to this side, we've taken it to this side of equilibrium. Even here the same thing will happen. The net force or the unbalanced force will be mg sine theta, which will be in this sort of direction now. Okay. Whereas this mg cos theta will be balanced by tension. Okay. So both of these diagrams correspond to the same concept, that so restorative force on either side of the equilibrium position. Yeah, the magnitude of the force will be same, Adinath, if we take it to the same angle. So suppose we have taken to 30-degree angle clockwise or then 30 degrees anti-clockwise. So both cases the force will be mg sine 30. So if we have taken it to symmetrical positions on either side, it will be symmetrical amount of force. So people hope this is clear. Okay, so what is happening is, in conclusion, what we understand is, in the case of the simple pendulum, the vertical position is one where the net force is zero. So it is the equilibrium position. Okay. But with respect to the vertical position, if I take it to some displacement, now there is some net force. So there is mg sine theta, whether it's on this side or it's on this side. And you can see the mg sine theta's direction is always such that it's tending to bring it back to the mean position. So on either side there is restorative force. It's trying to restore it back. So because there is restorative force on either side, the equilibrium point becomes what we call a stable equilibrium point. It becomes a stable equilibrium point. So what is the meaning of stable equilibrium point? That if displaced from equilibrium on either side, okay, it tends to restore back to equilibrium due to the restorative force. So due to the nature of the restorative force, just a second, I will share that file again. So it's a stable equilibrium point once again, because when displaced to either side of the equilibrium, okay, there is a tendency to restore back to equilibrium due to restorative force. Okay, so whenever this happens, there is oscillation. So whenever any system shows this property, okay, it is an oscillating system. So I'll show you more examples of oscillating systems, and I'll justify this statement that this is the condition required for a system to oscillate, that there should be a stable equilibrium point. That means that at that point the net force is zero, but whenever I displace it from that point to something else, there's a tendency to come back to the equilibrium position because of restorative force. Okay, so just make a note of this first. I will take you back to the position above. Okay, so Bhaumik, if you finished writing down this part, just take you to the earlier portion for a minute. So this is what was showing you the calculation of the restorative force. Okay, so hope you're done with this. Okay, now next let's look at another example of oscillation. Oscillation for a spring mass system. Now, this is also something pretty easy to understand. So let us say we have this system on a smooth floor. We have placed a block, okay, attached to a wall via a spring like this now. Okay. So a block of mass m on a smooth horizontal surface, okay, attached to an ideal spring of spring constant K as we'd seen earlier. Okay. Now this is, let us say, the position where the spring is in natural length. This is the natural length of the spring, L. So in this position, the tension in the spring is zero. So therefore, the net force on the block is zero. So therefore, this position is the mean position, mean or equilibrium position. But from this, if we move the system to either side, either we compress the spring on the one hand or we extend the spring on the other hand, we know what will happen. We know that there will be a restorative force because of the tension in the spring, which will tend to restore the block back to the original position. So whether we do this kind of a situation or we create this kind of a situation where the spring has got elongated because of the displacement of the block in this direction. Now the spring has got extended, okay, because the block has been displaced from its mean position, which was this position. You can see we've given the block a displacement of x. So the moment we do that, there's a tension in the spring which acts on the block in this direction, which gives it a tendency to accelerate like this. So there is a restorative force of that tension, which is kx, towards the equilibrium point. Similarly, if we take the block from the initial position and instead of taking it to the right, we push it against the spring towards the left. So from this position, if we displace the block like this, so that it's gone like this now, that's the displacement of the block. The spring would have got compressed this over here, L minus x. So as the spring has got compressed, it will apply a force outwards, and the tension in the spring will be outwards now. So it will tend to accelerate back. So now again there is a restorative force of kx towards the equilibrium point. So again you can see every time the restorative force, whether we are on either side of the equilibrium, there is a restorative force on either side of equilibrium point. So such an equilibrium point, as we've discussed just now, it is called a stable equilibrium point. Okay. So that means this kind of a system will oscillate. Okay. So just make a note of this. Acceleration is in the direction of net force, na Yuvraj? So see in the diagram where the spring is extended, The acceleration is in which direction? To the left. In the direction, in the one in which the spring is compressed, the acceleration is towards the right. Have you understood this, Yuvraj? Net force का जो भी direction है, that will be the direction of the acceleration. Right, people. So hope this is clear and you noted this down. Okay, now let us try and understand an oscillation cycle. Okay, so there are many more examples like this of oscillation. Okay, now one more important point I'd like to make for you to understand this restorative force business better is consider two contrasting situations. One is where we have something like a spherical bowl like this. Imagine this is a fixed spherical bowl. Okay, so this is a fixed bowl kind of thing, and this is a smooth surface. And on the other side, you are comparing this with this kind of a surface now, where this is like a spherical hill kind of thing. Okay, and again the surface is smooth. Now if I place a particle here, okay, this particle is in equilibrium, because what is happening, net force on it is zero. Normal reaction is balancing its weight. Okay, same for this particle here. If I place a particle right at the top of the hill, same thing is happening at the point P. Okay, but now let us say I'm moving that particle from that point P to this point Q. Now and here, so at Q, what is happening in the first case, at the point Q there is restorative force. Because at that point on the thing, once again you can see your forces, you will be dividing it into components. Normal reaction will be like this. So if this angle is some theta, now again you can see that there will be a net force mg sine theta, which is this component of mg will be the unbalanced force, restorative force. Okay, whereas in the second diagram it's a very different story. In the second diagram, if I take the particle to a point like q over here, now for this point q, what is happening, there is non-restorative force, net force. Now, you visualize the body's free body diagram at this point. So now mg is acting like this, okay, and normal reaction is acting like this. So this time you can see the component of mg, which is perpendicular to the normal reaction, how it's pointing away from the mean position, it's taking it further away. Okay. So the net force or the unbalanced force is mg sine theta. Now this tends to push further away from the mean position. Okay, so that is why this system, this is not an oscillating system. Okay, and the equilibrium position will be what we call an unstable equilibrium position. It will be unstable in nature. It doesn't have stability. थोड़ा सा भी उसको displace किया, it runs away from the equilibrium position. Whereas here, as usual, again what we are seeing is the equilibrium point is a stable equilibrium. The stable equilibrium because of the restorative force. So this system will oscillate. It will have that to and fro motion. Okay, understood the point. Okay. So just make a note of this set of examples also. Okay, so understood these examples, I hope. Okay, so next up, let's try to understand an oscillation cycle. Okay, and we'll understand this in context of two examples: spring mass system. Okay, and alongside that, we'll also look at the simple pendulum. Okay, so let us say that to set up the oscillation, in both cases, we have disturbed it from the mean position. Okay, so here the first, you can say, like, the first image we are taking of the oscillating object is when it is at, okay, x naught being the maximum extension of the spring. Okay, and similarly on this side, we've taken the pendulum in our first shot to be at an angular displacement of theta naught. So theta naught is the maximum angular displacement, okay, from the mean position. So what we'll observe here, it's starting from rest, so initial velocity is zero, but it has the maximum acceleration. Why it has a maximum acceleration? Because x naught is maximum, no? So therefore restorative force, which is kx naught, is maximum. So therefore acceleration e is maximum at this position. Okay, similarly here what is happening, it will have maximum acceleration towards the mean position. Why? Because this is maximum. So therefore restorative force, which was, remember what it was here, it was mg sine theta. This is maximum because theta naught is maximum. Okay, so therefore the acceleration e is maximum, and the initial velocity is zero because it is at the extreme position. So what is this representing in the cycle? This is representing the extreme position, where what happens, the displacement from the mean position is maximum. Okay, the acceleration towards the mean position is maximum. Okay, and the velocity is zero, starts from rest. Okay, so make a note of this diagram, then we'll see then we'll see the whole cycle, not just the extreme position, but we'll see how during the cycle it goes from extreme to mean, then again to extreme on the other side, and we'll understand better what we mean by the to and fro motion. Okay, people. So hope you've understood this particular part of the oscillation cycle. Now, if we compare this to, let's say, something that happens a little bit afterwards. Okay, so from here, because of the acceleration, now the block has moved more towards the mean position. But let's say it's not come to the mean position yet. So it's made a bit of displacement in this direction. Okay, but the spring is still in a stretch state. Let's say, so if it is still at this, you can see that by now the block has picked up some velocity, because it was pushed by the force. So it's picked up some velocity, it's picked up some acceleration also. But this acceleration here is less than the maximum acceleration. And it's picked up some velocity, non-zero velocity, towards the mean position. Okay. And of course, x is less than x naught. The displacement is less than the maximum. Now, likewise, if I were to draw an equivalent position for this one, so here this was the maximum displacement, theta naught. Now from that, let's say my system is now somewhere here, so it's at a theta which is less than the maximum theta. So by now what will happen is that the block would have picked up some speed, and it would continue to accelerate towards the mean position. The acceleration is less than a naught, but acceleration is towards the mean position. Okay, and the velocity is now non-zero, and v is towards the mean position. Okay. Now next, if I compare this situation, so I'll give you time to write down, don't worry. But if I now compare the situation where it's actually come to the mean position. Okay. So now this object is just about reach that position where the spring is in natural length. So what we'll observe is that when it's reached this position, the acceleration has again become zero because it's the mean position. But the velocity is maximum. Okay. Similarly, if I look at this one in this corresponding position now, from this position it's come to the vertical position, so it's the mean position, so the acceleration has become zero. Okay, but it has got a velocity in this direction which is maximum. So if you compare now these two systems as we were doing, you can see that at the mean position, okay, expectedly acceleration is zero, but what about speed? It is maximum. It has maximum speed and zero acceleration. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So what you do is first you compare the middle picture to the above picture and write this down. Compare this one. So this is state 1, let's say. Now this is state 2. So state 1 was the extreme position. State 2 is somewhere in between extreme and mean position. So just write down state two's positions first and diagrams. Take them down. Then we'll come to the third one, which is the equilibrium positions. Okay, so now you see as it comes from 2 to 3 towards the mean position, this is how the status changes. Instead of having acceleration and velocity, having displacement, acceleration, and velocity. Now the displacement is zero. You know, at this position, displacement, that is from mean position, is zero. Okay, so see now once you have understood this progression from extreme position to mean position, you can understand the rest of the oscillation. So let's quickly go through the rest of the oscillation cycle. So for the spring mass system, if this was the extreme position where we started with maximum acceleration, so the speed was zero. So this is extreme position. Okay. Now from here, by the time you come to the mean position, where the spring is in natural length, what is happening is that your speed is maximum, but your acceleration has become zero. So you've gone from here to here. Then what happens? You go past this point. Now, why it goes past the point, even though there is acceleration equal to zero, is because it's already got momentum. So that momentum, that tendency to move until and unless an external force acts, that is what we call momentum. So ये momentum की वजह से it goes past the equilibrium point and it goes to a position like this now, where let's say it is displaced by x but on the negative side. So now its speed has become less than the maximum speed over here. But now because the spring is compressed, it's pushing it in this direction. Okay. So what has happened? Now it's got an acceleration which is in this direction because the spring is pushing it. So the spring is in a compressed state now. No? The spring is at L minus X. So the tension in the spring, it's acting outwards. So that tension is pushing it. So it has got an acceleration which is less than E naught, the maximum acceleration, but the acceleration is towards the mean position. Okay. And then it goes to, it keeps going further. So what is happening to the speed? The speed is decreasing. Because you can see velocity and acceleration are in opposite directions. So speed keeps decreasing till it reaches a position where it momentarily stops. So when does that happen? That happens when it's reached the maximum displacement on this side. So momentarily, if the object stops at this point, by symmetry we will know that it has undergone the same displacement on this side as it had started from the other side, and it has now the same maximum acceleration equal to a naught. So this has become the extreme position, but to the left on the negative side. Okay, on the negative side, where again the acceleration has become maximum and the velocity has become zero. Okay. And thereafter again the system will repeat itself. So how it will repeat itself from here now? Now see, this acceleration pointing in this direction will bring it back to this kind of position where the spring is still compressed, but not by maximum compression. Okay. Here it was L minus x naught. So it's still got an acceleration in this direction, but by now it's got some velocity also. Okay. So the mean position is here. Okay. Then it once again reaches the mean position where the spring comes back to natural length. So what happens? The acceleration of the block becomes zero, but the velocity is now maximum. Okay, and then it goes past this because of that momentum factor. So now it has gone to some L plus x, where predictably what's happening, the velocity has become less than v naught because the spring is pulling it back. Tension is acting like this, so the acceleration is in the opposite direction. Okay, till it reaches the maximum displacement again from the mean position, and it's back to where it started its motion from. It's back to the first picture. Okay. So that is the complete oscillation cycle. So in this process, it has completed one cycle. So the first cycle is completed. So then it just repeats, okay, indefinitely. Just indefinitely keeps repeating this cycle. Okay, so when we convert this information into a graph kind of representation and into a geometrical graphical representation. Okay, so keeping in mind the set of diagrams that we had drawn in the above case or the spring mass system, let us look at x versus t. Okay, where x is, when it is positive, it is extension of the spring, and when x is negative, it was compression of the spring. Okay, so then our corresponding graph will look something like this. This is one cycle of the oscillation completed. So this will be one time period. This is when it had maximum compression, sorry, maximum extension. This is when it had maximum compression, and these were the positions when it was at the mean point. Okay, so we will see that this time is exactly half of the full cycle. This is exactly quarter of the full cycle, and this is 3/4 of the full cycle. So if we label these points as, let's say, small a, or let's just use some other symbols. So if this is the point P1, this is the point P2, this point is P3, this point is P4, this point is P5, then in terms of the actual geometry, we can see that this is how these points were. This was the position P1 when the spring had maximum extension. So the block had maximum acceleration and zero velocity. Okay. Then this other point P2 would have been when the spring has come back to natural length compared to that. So at this point P2, it has maximum velocity but zero acceleration. Okay. And similarly, so this would be x equal to plus x naught. This would be x equal to 0, that is mean position. Okay, this is the positive extreme. Now this is x equal to minus x naught at the point P3 which we have labeled. This is the negative extreme. So at this point of time, the spring is having maximum compression. So its length has become L minus x naught. And the block is having maximum acceleration in this direction, but its velocity is again 0. Okay. And then from there, back to P4, which is this one, mean position. So here x is 0 again. So at this point of time, the acceleration is again 0, but the velocity is maximum, and the spring is back to natural length. And from there, back to the first diagram, or this one, P5, and this was P4. So at this position, the acceleration is again backwards and maximum, but the velocity is 0. because the spring is once again at maximum extension. So x has become plus x naught again. Again back to positive extreme. Okay. So this is our starting time. This is 1/4 of the cycle. This is half cycle. This is 3/4 of the cycle, and this is when one cycle is complete. Okay. So capital T over here is called the time period of the oscillation cycle. So while you're noting this down, just make sure you understand the correlation between the graph of x versus t versus the actual physical situation of the various positions during the oscillation. The positive extreme, the mean position, the negative extreme, then again back to mean position, then again back to positive extreme. Okay, so hope you have written this down, all of you. Now from the same thing, if we, so in this graphical representation we saw displacement versus time. This graph was displacement versus time. Now if we correspondingly also draw some other graphs, like equally important, the velocity versus time graph. Okay, let's look at how that looks like now. So this is now the velocity time graph. Okay. So here v positive means towards the right. Okay. And negative means towards the left. Okay. So you'll see that in our oscillation cycle, this is how the motion had started. It started from rest, but the velocity became towards the left. It reached the maxima when it reached the mean position, so t by 4. Then again it went to the negative extreme. It again became 0. Then after that it started becoming positive, moving towards the right, and reached the maximum again as it crossed the mean position at 3t by 4. And from there it moved towards the extreme position. Okay. So you can once again compare these diagrams with it and see what is happening. So you can see that P1 to P2, that is t equal to 0 to capital T by 4. Okay, what's happening, that it's accelerating, that is the speed is increasing, but along the negative x direction. Okay, then from P2 P1 rather from P2 to P3, what is doing above, you can see it is going from the mean position to the negative extreme. In this time it was going from positive extreme to mean. So this is what it was doing, it was accelerating in the negative x direction. Okay, but next quarter cycle, P2 to P3, you can see from t equal to t by 4 to t by 2, it's decelerating, the speed is reducing along the negative x direction. It's continuing to move along the negative x direction, but as it's going from mean to negative extreme, what is happening, its speed is slowing. And that you can see in this diagram also. From P2 to P3, it continues moving in the negative direction, but with speed reducing, and the speed becomes 0 by the time it reaches P3. Okay. The next quarter cycle, P3 to P4, that is from t equal to t by 2 to 3t by 4, that is this position here. What is happening is that it is going from, mean position, so it's accelerating along the positive x direction. So you can see P3 to P4 is this one, here to here. It is going from negative extreme to the mean position. So it's speeding up, it's accelerating. And what is the direction from negative extreme to mean? So it's along the positive x direction. So this is the motion from negative extreme to back to mean position. Okay. And like that, the last quarter of the motion that we'll see, P4 to P5. Okay, that is from 3t by 4 to the full cyclical time. What is doing now is going past the mean position towards the positive extreme. So it continues moving in the positive direction, but with speed decreasing. So it is decelerating. Speed is decreasing along the positive x direction till it reaches the maximum x. So this is where it is going from the mean to the positive extreme once again. So you can see the trend of velocity, how it's started from rest at t equal to 0, moving towards the negative x direction, that is towards the mean position with acceleration. So the speed is increasing. Then once it goes past the mean position, is decelerating till it reaches the negative extreme. Then it accelerates back towards the mean position. So direction has become along the positive x direction, and the speed is increasing. And once it goes past the mean again, it continues in the positive direction, but this time with decreasing speed. So it's decelerating till it reaches the positive extreme. Okay. So this is how the velocity is varying with respect to time in the oscillation cycle. You can understand that from the graph also. You can see how the velocity starts from 0 but is increasing in magnitude, going in the negative direction. Then once it reaches the extreme position, again the speed's magnitude starts to decrease, but the velocity's value is negative, so the direction is still along the negative x direction. And like that you see for each of the quarter cycles. So these graphical representations are very important to understand oscillations, which is why I've spent some time in discussing these today. In the next lecture, we will see how oscillations are used to understand wave motion, as I was telling you earlier in the class today. Okay. So just make a note of this and we will conclude today's session here. Yes, Adina, that's correct. Both all the time is brought back by restorative force. No? So in any part of the motion, whether you're seeing it's accelerating towards the mean position or decelerating as it's going away from mean towards extreme, the force is always restorative. It's always pointing towards the mean position. Okay, people. So that's it for today's session. This is where we conclude today. All the best until next week, where we'll continue with waves. Okay, so you can also go through the last portion of your physics 1 module, the chapter on wave mechanics. You will understand that better with this background of oscillations.